Welcome back. In the previous video, we walked through the question generation section. I know you're probably feeling ready to jump into the analysis, but there's one more step before you do, and that's developing the analysis plan. Far too often I see analysts just go with the data that they have available, not really think about whether it's the right data. They also jump right into manipulating data without an actual outcome, and they spend far more time than they have to because they have no real direction. So before we start answering the actual questions that we formulated in the previous section, we need to be able to answer one, what data do I need to answer these questions? Number two, where am I going to get this data? You might have it already. You might be able to gather it yourself. You might be able to pull it from the internet or pay somebody to do some pre-canned reporting for you. Number three, you need to be able to answer how reliable is the data in each case? How confident do I need to be before I can answer this objective? And number four, what is the specific analysis or set of analysis that you're going to do with the data in order to be able to answer your key questions that you came up with? Asking these questions will save you a lot of pain in the future, and it pays to spend a little time here thinking through the analysis to save a lot of time later. Now, recapping our situation for a moment, we've got some hypothetical Facebook ads that we're paying for. When users click on these ads, they go to our website. And once they're on our website, they hopefully buy something from us. We want to know whether the cost of the ads outweighs the sales that we get. Now, in the last video, we came up with 4 questions. We're going to figure out how to actually answer these questions. So for the first one, I know Facebook provides a pre-canned report on how much I've been spending. In addition, you can use the report to see how many people clicked on the ads and went to the website. And that just so happens to be our second question. Facebook calls this metric link clicks in their reporting. Now, how to pull this data is outside of the scope of this course, but I'll put links below on exactly how to check these if you're interested. Now, because this data is coming directly from Facebook, we can feel pretty confident in the data, and we know that we can use it right away. Now, even better, Facebook allows us to actually pull both of these metrics in the exact same report. So that makes it really, really easy for us. You don't have to merge 2 different data sources. You can pull one report together, and that's that's a good example of why it's important to develop a plan beforehand. Otherwise, we might have doubled our work by pulling 2 different reports as opposed to one combined one, and then had to take report number 1 and merge it to report number 2, and that's when you get into all sorts of messy data that you don't want to have to deal with. With relatively little effort, we can answer half of our 4 questions right away. So the third question that we have to answer is, of the Facebook users, how many of them actually purchased something? Now, this is where things get a bit sticky. Ideally, we'd be able to track visitors from our website to the point that they click on the ad to the point that they actually purchase something. There's a way to do this called cookieing the browser. If we can do it that way, that's the best way to do it because it allows us to specifically identify customers from Facebook and if they purchased. That's by far the best way. However, not all websites are set up to do this, and so I know that's not always a possibility. To overcome that issue, we could pull something else called using a proxy. And let me show you what I mean. So instead of pulling the number of visitors from Facebook that purchased, we could pull the overall number of users that purchased. We can do this, and we'll do a little bit of math with this. So if we've got the total number of visitors who purchased from our website and the total number of visitors overall, then we can calculate what's called a conversion rate, or the percent of users who purchase from our website. So to use a very simple example with some made up numbers, if we had 100 visitors to the website and 10 of them purchased something, then we'd have a 10% conversion rate. We can then apply that conversion rate to our Facebook ads. So we can take our link clicks, which we will pull from our report, and multiply that by our conversion rate, and that will give us the number of visitors from Facebook who purchased. Now, any e-commerce platform, Shopify, Amazon, etc., they'll allow you to pull the number of purchasers from your website. Again, pulling the actual data is outside of the scope of this course or this video section, but I'll put some links below on that too if you're interested. Now, lastly, the total number of visitors should be an easy metric to get from any website platform. Google Analytics does as well, but there's lots of basic websites and basic tools that will allow you to keep account of the number of visitors. So all of this data should be very easily available to us. Finally, if you remember back to our 4 questions, we've got one more data point we need: the amount of money that the visitors from Facebook actually spent. Well, we can actually use a very similar logic to before here. We can figure out, if we figure out our average spend based on the total website revenue and the total number of purchases. That's the average spend per purchaser. Similar to what we did from our report from Facebook, we'll also pull the dollar amount of sales from our e-commerce platform. Again, this is all great examples of why we should plan ahead to reduce the amount of work later. So making up some more numbers to give us a really simple example, let's say the overall revenue from our website was $500, and that $500 was spent over 10 purchasers. That's an average of $50 per purchase. We can then take that $50 and multiply it by the number of purchasers from Facebook, which we will have just figured out a moment ago, and that will give us the revenue from Facebook visitors. Now, we're in the home stretch, so stick with me. If that final revenue number from Facebook users is greater than the amount that we're spending on ads, then that means the revenue from ads is greater than the costs. Therefore, we should keep running ads. Now, if it's the other way around, then the cost is greater than the revenue, so we should stop running ads. Now, I want to make one point here. What we've done here is called using a proxy. We didn't know which exact customers were buying and how much they were spending, but we could calculate overall how many customers were buying and how much they were spending, so we used that number in lieu of the number we didn't have. Using a proxy can be a very powerful tool because it allows you to get what is likely a reasonable answer even if you don't have access to all the data you need. However, you need to be careful when using a proxy. Picking the wrong data as a proxy can lead to unreasonable answers, and it will make your analysis incorrect. In this case, let's say you're an awesome marketer and instead of spending $50, visitors from Facebook actually spend $100 because your ads are so good and so convincing, and they just want to spend like crazy. That would mean that we're underestimating how much revenue we're getting from Facebook users. So whenever I use a proxy, I like to quote-unquote sanity check it or compare it against other numbers that I know are correct to make sure that what I'm coming up with isn't crazy. In this case, I can do a quick search for average conversion rates for Facebook ads, and you're welcome to do so. And as long as we're in the same ballpark as the stats that we're seeing on a kind of global level, then we're probably feeling pretty good. Whew, all right, we're done our analysis plan. Now we can move forward on to performing the actual analysis. But by now, I guarantee your coffee is getting pretty empty, so we'll save that for the next session. Make sure you click like if you like this video and click subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much.